Buenos días, chicos y chicas. Hoy vamos a hablar de los números a un millón. We're talking about numbers to a million. So the reason why these numbers to a million are important is because in Spanish-speaking countries, the currency can get a little bit different. So things can seem like they cost a lot more than they do in the United States just because of how currency works. So something here that might cost $5 might be like 250 pesos. So you need to know these big numbers in order to know how much something costs and say how much something costs. So to say how much something costs, you're going to use the verb costar. Now the verb costar is an O to UE stem change. So costar means to cost. So costar equals to cost. Then when you conjugate it, you're basically just going to use the el, ella, usted form and the ellos, ellas, ustedes form. Because you're not going to say I cost, you cost. Doesn't really come up. You're going to say it costs. So the two forms that you will be using are cuesta or cuestan. Cuesta or cuestan. Now, you in English might say, what does this cost? Or how much is this? To say this in Spanish, you use the question word cuánto or cuántos. You're going to use cuántos if it's plural. Remember, this can also end in an A if the noun or thing you're talking about is feminine. So, ¿cuánto cuesta? ¿Cuánto cuesta? How much does it cost? ¿Cuánto, well, let's use a feminine. ¿Cuánta cuesta la falda? How much does the skirt cost? So, if you're talking about numbers or you're talking about prices of things in the United States, you're going to use smaller numbers like 20 to 50, things like that. But in Spanish, a lot of times you're going to get into these big numbers. So, let's begin to look at these numbers. So the first big number that we're going to talk about is 100. In Spanish, that is the word cien. Cien is 100. Let me get my PowerPoint going. All right. Remember that this PowerPoint is on Canvas for you to look back at or follow along with as you watch this video. So make sure that you're looking with that. All right, so to tell how much something costs, you might need to use large numbers. 100, the number 100 in Spanish is the word cien. Cien. Like this. Cien. Moving on from cien to get into 101, 101, 102, all that, you change cien to ciento. So 101, ciento uno. Or una if it's feminine. So, 101 or 101. So to move on from 100, once you get to 101 all the way to 199, you say ciento, 101, 102, 103, 199, all those things. Ciento, then the next number. All right, moving on to 200. Now these are super easy. Once you get down cien and ciento, the rest of them just fall in line with what we would think they do. So 200 is 200. Or 200 if it's feminine. 200. And then it follows the same pattern like 100. 201, 202, 203. Follows that same pattern. So all you're doing is adding dos, 2, in front of ciento, the number that we already learned for 100. So, keeping that in mind, when you get to 300, you have 300. You have 300. 400, 400. 400 or 400 if it's feminine. Also make sure that all these are plural. Some of mine have had a typo. It should be cientos because there's more than one of them. All right, 500 is kind of irregular. So if you remember, think back to quince, 15. This looks like quince when you write it out. So it's quinientos. So if you can think 15 is quince, think 500, quinientos. $500 is quinientos. Then it gets back to normal with 600 with 600. 600. 700 is pretty normal. It's not 700, so it's just 700. 700, 700. 800, 800. 900, it's not 900, it's 900. So if you think back to 90, 90. 900. 900. All right, then 1,000. Do not get 1,000 confused with a million. You're gonna think this is a cognate, but once you see what a million actually is, you're gonna see that it's the better fit for a cognate. So 1,000 is meal. 1,000 is meal. Now, if you can see, I know it's kind of small, but here there is a dot instead of the comma. In Spanish, when you're writing out large numbers, the dot is the comma and the comma is the dot. They're flip-flopped. So when you see that, this does not say 1.000. It's saying 1,000. Mil. To say larger thousands, like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, all you do is add that number to the front. So 2,000, 2,000. 2,000 is 2,000. And then finally we're at 1,000,000. It's 1,000,000. 1,000,000, 1,000,000. 2,000,000, 2,000,000, or 2,000,000 rather, 3,000,000, and so on. Alright, so when counting, use uno when counting. Uno at the end of a number, so 101 would be an example. Changes to un before a masculine noun, so for example, $101 or $101, $101. Before a feminine noun, it changes to una. So when we're talking about numbers, large numbers, they do follow the verb that they modify, or the verb that they're, or not verb, rather noun that they're talking about. So they follow or match the noun that they're talking about. So un would be for a masculine word, una for a feminine word. So for example, tengo 21 bolsas. I have 21 purses. Alright, ciento. Cien and ciento stay the same with both masculine and feminine nouns. So, ciento faldas, ciento dólares. It does not change. Ciento always stays the same, masculine or feminine. But when you get to 200, 300, 400, that's when it matches masculine, feminine. So it would be 200 or 200, whether it's masculine or feminine. So keep that in mind. We have to think that words have gender, masculine or feminine, and our numbers must match that when we're getting into these large numbers. So they agree with the noun that they modify. When you're talking about 1,000, mil does not change because it does not end in a vowel. So mil does not change. Alright, so 100 personas, $100. Does not change masculine or feminine. Dólares, masculine, personas, feminine. $102, 102 personas. It stays the same. But then when you get to 200, $202, 202 personas, $202 or 202 people. All right, then mil does not change, $1,000, 1,000 personas. Un millón changes to millones when you get into bigger numbers. So 2 million, 2 millones. 3 million, 3 millones. So, a large number. 3,520,312. So that is a huge, huge, huge number. So, you can see that written out in the PowerPoint, but what it looks like in number form. 3,520,312. 3 312. When you write it out, 3,520, 312. And then you have $1,000,000 versus 2,000,000 personas. It doesn't change masculine or feminine. It changes to millones when you get into more than 1,000,000. All right, that concludes today's lesson about numbers. Make sure that you are reaching out to me if you have questions about large numbers. Remember to watch these videos, they're here to help you. I know that this is not an ideal way to learn a language, but we've got to make do while we are in quarantine. I hope everyone's staying safe, staying healthy. Be sure that you're working on your work in Canvas, and have a great day.